How does it feel like to have words just effortlessly flowing in your sessions? You're on a roll, you feel the flow, like amazing things just coming out of your mouth, and your client in front of you just gets hit with this amazing transformation. And you know for certain, and you're confident that after the client leaves your session, their life is forever changed. We are all wanting that feeling for all of our hypnosis sessions, right? And so today we're going to talk about having words effortlessly flow and how you can get to a point where you're just really present with your client and words, amazing words are just coming out of your mouth. This is a skill set. And so today there are three questions that I'm going to answer with regards to helping us get to this point. And of course, these trainings are fast action packed. So I definitely would suggest taking advantage of the amazing value you're going to have here in this training and use it as soon as you have your next client. So let's begin with the questions. First one is, what metaphor do I put inside my anxiety relief script? So this is a great question, and I'm going to answer it from a perspective of using advanced conversational hypnosis because that is my expertise and what I'm trained in. And so inside our ACH sessions, the metaphors that we use are the metaphors that our clients give us. That is it, super simple. Excuse me. I'm going to repeat that. The metaphors that we use are the metaphors that our clients give us. So we don't go before our session to prepare for the metaphors that we will put inside the session. It is absolutely, it doesn't actually make sense to do that. And here's why. I am someone who will talk in metaphors when I'm inside advanced conversational hypnosis sessions. Inside the intro to ACH course, there is a demo there of a special client who who healed her eczema using metaphors within that session. Now, the therapist who was helping me could not have predicted any of the metaphors that came out of there because it was completely unconscious. And to be quite frank, it did not make any sense. The metaphors that came out were spontaneous and were really directed to the problem that I came in with, which was the eczema. There were things about blimps in the sky, strings falling down, something about Barbies that I talked about. It still doesn't make sense at this point, but at the end of the day, the eczema is clear. So it worked. We got the results. And so this is why preparing for metaphors is completely useless because we don't know what is going to come up within the sessions. And the best metaphorical conversation comes with spontaneity when the client themselves are the type of person who has whose unconscious mind expresses itself through metaphors. So that would be the only time that I would use metaphors. I would never, ever, ever go before my sessions and look at my clients presenting problem and it being, okay, it's a weight loss session. They want to lose more weight and me thinking of metaphors for the weight loss because I do not know that client unconscious mind well enough to be able to predict what is going to happen until I actually sit with them. And so this is such um, a mindset that is difficult to grasp at first because we have been taught traditionally to prepare, right? Especially in hypnosis, where we have a script, especially in NLP, where everything is structured as to what we need to say, not really how to work with a client, just what to say. And that's not as powerful as we want. And of course, we want to make this big impact today, all day, every day until the end of time for our clients, right? And so by utilizing our clients' own metaphors, that is how we're going to stop the hit or miss results for our clients and instead have the consistency of clients having breakthroughs within the session because we are speaking their language. That is really it, right? We want to know how to actually speak our clients' language. And if that client is through metaphors, great. We can use that metaphors. We can play around with it. We can question it. And if it's not how they do it, great. That's fine too. There are a million different unconscious moments that we focus on inside our ACH trainings. And so if that client is presenting with a metaphor, you ask them a question and they're like, I I want to lose weight, and they talk about something like being on quicksand or something. This is completely made up, but you're talking about the problem, you're going through the hypnotic interview with them inside your hypnosis session, and then they somehow have described this feeling of weight in their body, just like sinking on quicksand, right? What you want to do is just help your clients place their attention on that metaphor, be playful with it, right? Ask them about the quicksand. Like, what is happening in the quicksand? Like, is it just your feet that are underneath the quicksand? How fast are you going down the quicksand? Being very, very playful with it, because that's how you draw your client's attention into that moment. And really, this is the process that we do inside our ACH sessions. But that sounds very, very simple, but not that easy when you're in the sessions. That's why we have the demos. That's why I get my students to practice this over and over. And this is something we practice over 3 days, because this is one of the most challenging things to wrap our minds around. That's why it's so important to have that community and that coaching as well if you really want to master it. So just place your client's attention on it. And the best metaphor that you're going to use for your anxiety clients is if that client with anxiety sits down in your session and then starts talking about metaphors, that is how you are going to really utilize that metaphor in the best way possible using their own. If they don't have the metaphors, use other unconscious information. And if you want more info on that, I have an intro to ACH course, which gives you the intro to unconscious moments. Definitely comment intro to ACH below to access your $0 course. Okay, next question. What is the best language pattern to confuse clients out of their internal conflicts? I love this question because we can strategically look at the different components of this question. What is the best language pattern to confuse clients out of their internal conflicts? Okay, let's talk about it. Best language pattern to confuse clients. A lot of us have learned that something like language patterns is something that we can use to confuse our clients so that they can somehow eradicate their problem, right? Here's the thing with trying to confuse your clients: that confusion is good. I'm not against the confusion per se. There's an important and even powerful byproduct of being confused, but how we confuse our clients is the determining factor of whether or not it will work. If you're using very clunky, weird ass language patterns to talk to your client that does not make any fucking sense, your clients will be confused, not in a good way. Like, they'd probably be like, what the fuck is this person talking about? That is not where you want to end up. That's not how you want to help your clients, right? So the thing with language patterns is that it's so mechanical and clunky. And it's it sounds good if you practice it, but in a therapeutic setting, when you're actually talking with a client, some clients might not even register what the hell we're talking about with that language pattern, right? And again, it confuses them not in a good way. It confuses a lot of them in a way where what they think, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like, what did I just pay for? You don't want that shit. So, if you want, in this question, to confuse clients out of their internal conflicts. So if you have a client with an internal conflict, you can confuse them, but in a very different way. And this is how we do it inside our ACH trainings. We just place our client's attention on the conflict. And so what happens, I'm going to give you an example in a minute. So instead of, like I said, I'm not against confusion. Confusion can work very, very well, especially with conflicts, because if you confuse your clients, then they start rethinking about the belief that they're conflicted with. That is a better way to confuse the client, and that is not through language patterns. It can be as easy as really just asking them about the conflict. So, for example, I know that a client says, I know that smoking is really bad for my health, but I just automatically grab that cigarette or that vape, whatever it is, right? That is a conflict. They know it's not good for them. And this is very typical for any client with any problem, right? They know that it's very shitty for them, but it's an automatic response or habit that they actually are displaying. So you want to question that internal conflict instead, so that they get confused about the issue, the conflict, or whatever it is. So it can be something as simple as going, okay, so if it's so bad for you, why are you doing things that are bad for you? Something as simple as that, right? Like just ask them about that conflict. Or, you can like, why is it so automatic? What makes the process of grabbing for that cigarette or vape or the cannabis, whatever it is. Why is that? So, why are you so drawn to it? Right? Asking them, and then they'll start to think about that question. And when they think about the question, they'll retrieve an answer for that question. And by saying it out loud and them hearing themselves answer that question, that's when they start to get really confused. This was very evident inside the stop smoking session, inside our last conversational hypnosis training. It was super fascinating to be like. And she was actually saying, "Oh my God, I'm so confused. Why am I doing it?" And boom, that's how she became a non-smoker. But it's very specific, and language patterns are not needed. And confusion can be really, really good only if it's um, done in an inquisitive, curious way and very strategic way, which is what we teach inside our ACH trainings. Last question. So, how did you stop relying on scripts and start to ad lib or free flow sessions? So, I love this question because the topic of this video is free flowing words inside our sessions, right? What, so long story short, I just learned ACH. That is it. That was what I did because in that process specifically and how I got better at not relying on scripts is that the ACH program is very, very much based on investigating the client's problem, which I haven't seen any training school teach that specific skill. It was always all about memorization. This is how it is. There was not a lot of this is actually how the unconscious mind works. This is the language of the unconscious mind. It is very different from spoken language like I'm doing now. It doesn't talk like this. It's very specific with how it communicates, and learning how to do that and just really going by that again and again and again, using the same principles within the hypnotic interview and looking for those unconscious moments. That was how I stopped relying on the scripts because I really, 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 really wanted to get away from all of that shit. I had, the script right here on one side of my screen, the Zoom screen right here in my client sessions, plus a shitload of cue cards that I had to prepare for like 10 to 15 minutes at least before my sessions. And then I had to record, and it had to be like, it was so much fucking work, and it was draining at times and very exhausting. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So, and what I really found with that method is that clients got results in the investigation phase, but we had a lot of like deepeners and the induction. It's like the typical stuff, right? And then the transformational recording. Some people liked it, but at the same time, that's a different story. But really, but some clients didn't really listen to it, even though even though I told them how important it was, even though it took me like 2 hours sometimes to do. And it just overall, looking at the really big picture, those things weren't helping with the results. The investigation phase was. And that is what ACH sessions are all about, right? That's why it's so typical, even with clients who have had hypnotherapy before, say that I've had I think that I've had 3 to 5 hypnosis sessions in just one because we focus on the right things. We can focus on all of the different things and it can work, and I've had great results as well. But if we focus on the things that actually get the result, it's a lot better. And so I've talked about the hypnotic interview. I've talked about the unconscious moments. The intro to ACH course it actually does help you with that. It shows you the principles of it. It's a very basic foundational level of ACH. If what I'm talking about and have talked about resonates with you, definitely comment intro to ACH to get your $0 access to it. I am quite crazy for giving that course for $0. So grab that now before I change my mind. And so we can really have our words flow throughout our sessions when we know how to use our clients' unconscious expressions. We're always displaying unconscious expressions. We don't have to put our clients into trance all the time. We don't have to tell them a script. We don't have to think about the metaphors. If a client is metaphorical, you will hear it and see it. And if a client, what was the other question? If a client is full of conflicts, then we can definitely just question them to confuse them out of the conflict. And then that way we don't have to rely on scripts. We don't have to rely on thinking about what to do. It's all about the client and pure utilization of what our clients give us. It just gives us a lot more freedom. It gets rid of a lot of the pre and post work that are not necessary. There's no um, awkward rapport building. It's just really a very fun conversation. And also inside the Intro to ACH course, you will see exactly in the demonstration how casual it is and how fun it becomes. And it is a very, very effective session because it's almost been a year that eczema is not here anymore. So it 100% works. So I hope that this mini training helped. If you have any questions at all, let me know. And access to Intro to ACH is still here. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you soon. Let's make a massive impact together, one conversation at a time.